So for a while now, I've been trading just like the Ricks using something called options flow. Now, options flow data is a powerful tool that is not widely known by retail traders and is definitely underutilized. Now, the objective today is to explain what is options flow, what platform I use to get this data, and also explain why this is something I use to help me make a decision whether I should buy or sell a stock. However, with that being said, I think it's best to learn with things in practice. So I'm gonna go ahead and hop into my laptop and I'm gonna show you the platform I use to help find option data, and then also define what option flow data is, and then also, just kind of break down how I filter out to find my trades. Alrighty, so we're officially inside of my laptop. We're on the Unusal Whales website, which is a paid for subscription. And before you guys get overwhelmed by all the information and data on the screen, before we go ahead and break that stuff down, I want to go ahead and really just kind of go over what is options flow data, right? So what is it, right? So options flow data is a term for options data that is also sometimes referred to as option order settlement, unusual option activity, option sweeps, or simply order flow, right? So it has many different names, and all these, different names tie back into the same concept of what is generally described as orders from smart money, okay? So big players, in the stock market, this may be individuals who just have a large sum of money. It could be institutional traders, or it could be like hedge funds, prop firms, market makers. I mean, the list goes on, right? So this is, just as the name implies, unusual whales, big money. Now, traders will look into volume, as this is a very important analysis when evaluating the potential direction of a stock. However, guys, stock volume can be deceptive, right? It's noisy and sometimes absent altogether, right? So if you're familiar with dark pools, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Now, if you aren't familiar with dark pools, that's fine. Just to quickly recap for context, dark pools are massive purchases of stocks that are hidden from the public eye in private trading exchanges, right? So if you don't have access to look into dark pools, then you won't see, the volume of, money going in or out of a stock. So you just are absent of that data. However, with options, it's a little bit different, right? Because option purchases cannot be hidden in dark pools and are readily available to the savvy trader. And so when you start looking into the options flow, what we have here is just data. So you could look into what institutional traders are doing with options, and you could use this information to benefit your own trade. Now, according to FINRA, 70% of trading activity comes from large financial institutions. So if you don't have access to that data, you're kind of, missing out. However, with options flow, now you could look into what these institutions are doing, and that helps you find a direction of what's going on. Now, also, aside from the fact that financial institutions account for over 70% of trading activity, some of you guys may ask, well, why do we still look into what financial institutions do? All right, because I know they account for 70% of the trading activity, but why else is it important? Well, another thing that you should also consider is that oftentimes, either individuals with large sums of money or institutions, they typically are in the know, right? They have some more information that retail traders just definitely don't have access to, right? Especially, if you're trading with multi-billions of dollars or millions of dollars in some cases, right? They're not really typically playing a guessing game, and most of the time, that higher volume will lead to higher price changes after seeing, that flow coming in. So I want to go ahead and explain how I use Unusual Whales to help parse through data on how to find trades to execute, right? Now, Unusual Whales, they offer definitely a bunch of other tools, but the main tool that you're going to find yourself using with this paid for subscription website is the option order flow, right? And in the option order flow, there's several different data points or pieces of data that you could look into. You could see the ticker symbol. You could see the type of option trade it was, whether it was a call, whether it was a put. You could see the contract date, how many days away till expiration, the underlying stock price at the time that this was purchased, the option contract, the bid and ask spread, and then also the spot. So the amount that they actually paid for that option contract, how many option contracts it was, and then also the premium. And then if you scroll to the right, you'll see these little emojis that are definitely helpful as they help identify whether it was a bullish trade or a bearish trade, right? And the reason why this is helpful is because, with options, it may be a little bit confusing because someone could buy a call and that is bullish, right? And someone could also sell puts And you may think that, puts are all bearish, but actually selling a put is bullish, right? Just like selling a call, I'm going to see if I could find one here. Selling a call, right, is going to be bearish, right? And so it's important that you definitely understand the basic rudiments of I guess that's kind of redundant saying basic rudiments, but just the basic foundation of options, because that's going to be very helpful. Now again, you don't have to be an options trader to use order flows or option order flows, but just understanding the basics of options, right? So I'm going to go ahead and explain how I use, this website, right? So when you go to the main page of Flow, you're going to see all the different tickers, but this could be overwhelming and it may be difficult to, see exactly what type of trade you're going to go ahead and execute. So what I do is I'll go ahead and filter by tickers, right? And so generally speaking, if I'm going to trade options, I'll try to find options that have a lot of volume, right? But they also have, a lot of volatility. So this could be your large caps or your mega caps, right? Because the issue with options is, if you start going to, small caps or mid caps, there may not be that many, much open interest or volume, right? Maybe the underlying stock may have a lot of volume, but the actual option contracts, right, they may not have a lot of volume, and that's important. You want to have liquidity for you to be able to enter into the trade and exit out of the trade, right? So we'll go ahead and filter some stocks. We could type in Tesla, which is TSLA. And that will go ahead and it'll filter out, Tesla option, contracts that were bought and sold. And then on the left-hand side, you could also mess with the parameters. I'm going to show you guys what I like to, mess around with. However, you guys are free to kind of play around with, as many of the parameters that you'd like to adjust. So one of the main things is obviously I leave all this the same, everything kind of as the default setting. I only look at the stocks as they often don't trade like the ETFs or indexes. So we'll scroll down. Now, premium. So this part is very important to kind of just adjust, because premium is what we adjust to, filter out from the whales, right? Because if you have a small premium, let's say $1,000, that's not a large institutional trader, right? That could just be anyone, spending $1,000 on an option contract. What we're specifically trying to really just sniff out is the institutional trader. So I have here someone spending $50,000 or more on an options contract, right? Or options trade, right? Because generally speaking, if you're putting $50,000 for a trade in options, you're not likely to be a small fish. Now, is it possible? Yes, someone may YOLO their entire life savings, and that's definitely something we've seen often in obviously Reddit forums like Wall Street Bets, but it's not that common, right? Or at least hopefully, right? Now you could obviously adjust this to be a little bit even more higher, right? We could filter this to be 1 million, right? And I believe we have this at 1 million. If not, I could go ahead and just double check here. Nope, that's 100,000. We need one more zero. And now we only see in the millions, right? So we see big trades here, right? 1 million, 17 million. However, something I want you guys to also understand is just because you see a big trade, 1 million, and you scroll to the right and you're like, oh, this is bullish. I don't think, it's very wise to just make your trade just based off that, right? You shouldn't just say, oh, okay, one person's betting $1 million, and they're bullish on Tesla. I'm going to go ahead and buy right now, or I'm going to buy some, call options as well right now. That's definitely not how you want to use this. Why? Well, here's the thing. Sometimes some hedge funds, right, or some financial institutions, they may be using, options to hedge their underlying stock plays. So I'm going to go ahead and explain how I actually try to filter out a good trade idea, right? But I'm going to go ahead and reduce this back to 50,000 as I don't like to have it at exactly 1 million. That was just an example of how you could mess around with the parameters here. But we'll go ahead and scroll down, and then expiration dates. So this is definitely important. So you could, by default, it's going to have all expiration dates selected. I like to unselect that and select the next, 3 to 10 expiration dates, right? So we'll just select, this date, and then this date, right? Maybe you could do one more, right? Okay, and then we'll have it load up. And then once it loads up, now we see, option trades that are expiring in the next, couple of weeks, right? In the next 6 days, 13 days. Now, why is it important that, to filter out option trades that are expiring soon? Well, I don't care what hedge funds are buying that are going to expire in the next year or the next 2 years, because that may be something that is just a long-term play for them or a long-term hedge. I want to know what are they buying in the next couple of days, right? So I can just understand the timing a little bit better, because obviously you shouldn't base your trade based on what a financial institution or what a whale is, making a trade for the next year, right? So you want to kind of filter out to a smaller time frame, right? And then from there, you could go ahead and assess, well, okay, is it more bullish or more bearish, right? So you'll go ahead and scroll down, and for Tesla right here, we see a little bit of a mix. We see a lot of bullish and a lot of bearish trades, and so this is something I would call as like mixed data, right? So I wouldn't base my trade on something that is mixed, right? Because it's not really clear. It's not like just fully just transparent of what the direction may be. So I'm gonna go ahead and look for a different stock, right? And we could type in something like Meta, right? This was a trade that I recently did in the Push and Profit private group. So it's just fresh on my head. And so we'll scroll down. We'll make sure that we have the right parameters, 5,000 or 50,000. And then we'll go ahead and look at the expiration dates, and we'll go ahead and we'll just unselect the 24th, right? Because I think that's a little far out. We'll just say, okay, the 27th of this January, then the 3rd and the 10th, right? We'll just filter that out. Now we're seeing all the Meta option trades. We're seeing okay, so we have some bearish trades, some bullish trades. We'll scroll down. Okay, look at that. So a big flood of bullish trades, right? We'll scroll down just to make sure that there's not any other trades, and we see that there's definitely a larger flow of bullish trades here. So this is a trade idea. You may look at this and say, okay, well, it looks like based on the option order flow or the options flow, or the option sentiment flow, or like I said, there's many names for this. It looks like it's very bullish. Now, I don't think you should only base your trades just on the option order flow. I think it definitely has a huge weight. Probably like maybe 60% of the time this may be correct. However, I think this is best done in conjunction with other data points, right? So looking at catalyst events, maybe looking at the fundamentals of the company, and when I say catalyst events, I mean like news catalyst, like maybe something coming up, like I said, the fundamentals of the company, or even technical analysis. I incorporate several different data points and I put them all together. It could be macroeconomic climate taking place, where we're seeing the Federal Reserve being more dovish, and we're seeing monetary policy kind of shift to lower federal fund rates, which could be bullish in the overall market, right? So I mean, there's several different data points, but this is just one thing that I'll use in conjunction with like all those other data points, and from there it presents a trade idea, and then from there you could trade Meta stock, right, the underlying stock, and not have to buy the options. Or, if you do plan on trading the options, you could, buy the calls for Meta, right? And then from there you assess, I'm not going to go ahead and explain, what call, strike price you should buy, and expiration date. I think, that should definitely be for a different video, but you could definitely, find a trade idea from, just parsing through the information here. Hopefully that introduction and tutorial using option order flow with Unusual Whales helps you out with your trading journey. I could say for a fact that has definitely helped me out on my trading journey. There's been multiple over 100% days I've had scalping options using option order flow from Unusual Whales, so it's definitely worth it. Now, real quick, if you guys do want to use the subscription for Unusual Whales, check out the links in my description of this video, because there is a link where if you sign up for Unusual Whales using that link, you get a discounted rate. So definitely, take advantage of that, especially if you're going to use the service. Might as well pay for a discounted rate using that service. And also, if you guys want to be part of the Push and Profit private group, where I have my daily briefings, where every single day I call out stocks that I'm looking to trade and the reason why, definitely check the first link in the description of this video, because there's going to be a link to join the Push and Profit private group. And you also have over 5 hours of video lessons from me in the Push and Profit program. So definitely check that out. And with that being said, guys, I'll see you guys on this next video right over here. Take care, guys.